2016 Mazda CX-9. Running on empty. What we like: torque. The CX-9's 2.5-liter inline-4 delivers all of its 310 lb-ft from as low as 2000 rpm, and the 6-speed automatic is perfectly programmed to take advantage of this turbocharged, small-displacement engine. As a result, the big CX-9 never gets caught in the wrong gear, making it a satisfying hauler and urban runabout. On the highway, it runs quietly and tracks straight, leaving the driver free to admire the scenery and the CX-9's handsome cockpit. You'd think that after more than a year of sliding behind the wheel we'd have grown tired of the rosewood trim and imitation leather dash, Mazda's faux luxury interior appointments. But no, we're still struck by how nice a place the front seat of the CX-9 is. What we don't like, that Mazda's 2018 updates to the CX-9 were not retrofitted to our long-termer. We're most envious of the redesigned second row that improves access to the third row seat, but we also would welcome the additional sound insulation and the new heated steering wheel. We're growing weary of Mazda's infotainment system, which has had a habit of intermittently freezing up in our CX-9 as it has in other Mazda models. And although its single rotary knob interface was one of the best in the business when it was introduced years ago, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto have rendered it all but obsolete today. What went wrong? And by we mean one particular staffer ran the CX-9 out of gas, not once but twice in the same week. No, this was not part of our exhaustive battery of tests, just garden variety stupidity. The first time, the CX-9 shut off precisely as the distance to empty counter arrived at 0, its pilot assumed, incorrectly, that he would be able to drive at least a mile or two beyond the estimated range. Having learned his lesson, sort of, he was on his way to the gas station when he ran the tank dry the second time. In this instance, the range estimate still read 8 miles. Where we went: Home Depot, the Washtenaw County Home Toxics Collection Center, the Ann Arbor PTO thrift shop, the scrap metal yard, and that was all before noon. Since the CX-9 returned from Montana, it has been pressed into service mainly as a surrogate minivan/truck. Yet even without leaving the state it continues to accrue mileage at a decent clip, all while existing in the same fleet that also includes a pair of minivans and a pickup. We did make our third and fourth trips for oil changes. During the most recent visit, the dealer installed new engine and cabin air filters as well as fresh wiper blades, adding $264 to our total running costs. What we like: Mazda CX-9 is like the summer camp counselor who teaches you to smoke, fun, surprising, but all utilitarian and practical when the adults arrive. In this case, what Mazda's counselors have whipped up for the kids is an SUV with good handling, demonstrating skid pad grip of 83 centimos mid-corner. The CX-9's load shifts predictably and with little consequence, and its relatively low center of gravity keeps confirming what we're feeling. Around town, the CX-9 is nimble. Not as nimble as Mazda's cars, but of course it sits higher and its sidelines are better. Someone spent a long while balancing this vehicle's ride/handling trade-off. Inside, the CX-9's signature trim scores for its near-luxurious appointments, with the maroon upholstery mitigating what otherwise would have been a buffet of black. What's more, this SUV is famously quiet in all modes: idle, wide-open throttle, and cruising. At stoplights, you may well conclude that the engine has died, so quiet and smooth is its idle. Undertaking conversations with backseat riders, even at freeway speeds, requires few raised voices. The CX-9 is also a compelling consumer of interstate miles, as we learned during a 2-day, 2,000-mile rifle shot from Ann Arbor to Montana. Would-be buyers seeking a minivan alternative need only scan our recent comparison test, in which we concluded, the CX-9 is a compelling package, and although that package is not the largest, it is the best. So far, we cling to that claim. What we don't like: there's not much here to dislike. A couple of editors have opined that the driver's seat cushion is too short and the seams of the seat back press too insistently into one's back. There is also disagreement about the styling of the CX-9's jutting grille, looking aerodandy and modern to some and like an industrial exhaust appliance to others. The whopping grille, of course, is the trend right now in almost all of Autodom, and this one seems to cover as much cubic territory as a domed stadium. We've also recorded beefs that the third row is difficult to access and that the cargo area is small, at least compared with other SUVs in this class, notably the Volkswagen Atlas, Honda Pilot, and Dodge Durango. What went wrong? Well, we made a bogus turn in Ketchum, Idaho, thus missing Ernest Hemingway's grave and instead fetching up against a saloon serving more pale ales than Folsom has felons. But man is not made for defeat, Papa said before killing himself. In truth, the CX-9 has been a mechanical ray of sunshine. Since we last checked in on our long-termer, we've merely changed its oil and rotated its tires. The dealer also performed warranty service to address a cargo area rattle problem that we hadn't experienced. Where we went, the CX-9 spent the summer at John Phillips's Dead Loss Ranch in southwestern Montana, where it was subjected to daily filthy indignities, not least of all the minimum of 2 miles of light off-roading necessary to achieve a paved surface. The Mazda was also used to haul numerous Montana-worthy tires, including a fresh set of General Grabber Arctics with big freakin' studs, not a common article in our expanding stock of rubber. The CX-9 has traversed all of western Montana, Missoula, Kalispell, Whitefish, and 2 soothing hot springs, Lost Trail and Quinns. It was further piloted to Idaho for fly fishing duty on the Salmon and Bigwood rivers, where the big fat grill looked, well, happy. A fitting flagship. What we like, Mazda vehicles, as a rule that the flagship CX-9 SUV doesn't break. Let's talk about that notion for a minute. At $32,460, the CX-9 has the highest base price of any Mazda. With 250 horsepower, it is also the most powerful new Mazda vehicle on sale today. And, of course, 3 rows of seating make it the biggest. So yeah, it is the flagship. Unsurprisingly perhaps, we like almost everything about the CX-9. It's attractive, athletic, refined, and practical, wrote one commenter, fairly summarizing our staff opinion. The CX-9 looks expensive inside and out in the signature trim, and it also displays near perfect fit and finish and has nicely weighted controls. The interior, in particular, continues to impress most drivers, even compared with the endless parade of luxury brand crossovers that come through our office. What we don't like, as great as it is having 310 lb-ft of torque available low in the rev range, rocketing away from toll booths takes its own toll on fuel economy. Even on long trips, we've seen well shy of the 26 mpg EPA highway estimate. The 2.5-liter turbo inline-4 doesn't like to rev, and it sounds coarse and strained hitting its 5,000 rpm horsepower peak, sometimes vibrating the floor pan and reminding us that the CX-9 is not a luxury sports sedan. In that vein, we missed having a heated steering wheel this winter, although the Mazda 3 and 6 both got that option for 2017, so perhaps Mazda will add that to the CX-9's equipment list for 2018. What went wrong? The stitching on the CX-9's steering wheel started unraveling at only 6,000 miles. Perhaps we've just been picking at it too much, exercising our cold fingers to keep them warm. Someone also managed to back the CX-9 straight into the exterior brick wall of our office building. Thankfully this resulted only in a cracked piece of chromed plastic on the bumper, and the fix cost less than $200. Our first visit for scheduled maintenance, fresh oil and filter, tire rotation, and an inspection, set us back $105 around the 7,500-mile mark. Where we went, the CX-9 has made it to Chicago twice and also visited southern Indiana, all during the grip of winter. As we line up our summer excursions, however, its dance card is rapidly filling up. Till 40,000 miles do us part. If we could marry a car company at this very moment, there's little question it would be Mazda. Maybe it's not the sexiest, certainly it's not the richest, but there's no other auto manufacturer with whose full lineup we'd rather settle down. This is not hyperbole. When the most recent Mazda long-termer finished its 40,000-mile stay in our fleet, it was immediately purchased by one of our editors, whose real-life spouse is now driving that Mazda 3 every day. It helps that the Mazda lineup has been pared to just 6 vehicles. The newest is this redesigned CX-9, which ditches the last vestige of Ford mechanicals from Mazda's parts bin, leftovers from the era in which the Blue Oval was part owner of the Japanese brand. A lighter, Mazda-engineered platform underpins the new CX-9, which uses struts in the front and a multi-link suspension in the rear. This doesn't transform the 3-row crossover into an MX-5, but our 4,393-pound CX-9 does weigh 165 pounds less than the final example we tested from the previous generation. This is despite our new CX-9 being delivered fully loaded. We ordered it in signature trim, which carries a base price of $44,915 and affords every factory option. Highlights include seating for 7, all-wheel drive, 20-inch wheels, power everything, leather seats and interior trim, navigation, and a sunroof. Our CX-9 also carries modern safety-enhancing equipment such as LED headlights, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, lane keeping assist, automated braking, and a backup camera. Noticeably absent from the features list are a heated steering wheel, cooled front seats, although they are heated, and heating or cooling for the rear seats. Yes, we're spoiled. We added to our order form $200 all-weather floor mats, a $450 trailer hitch, and $90 worth of cargo nets. With $300 spent for the classy machine gray paint, the total price came in at $45,955, which seems reasonable for a 3-row crossover, especially one this nice inside. By comparison, that price is $2,000 less than the sticker on the long-term 2016 Honda Pilot that will soon depart our parking lot at Eisenhower Place. Like everything Mazda sells, the CX-9 aspires to be the best driving vehicle in its class. This doesn't necessarily mean outstanding test track performance. The CX-9 ran from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 7.1 seconds, equal to the performance of the long-term 2016 Kia Sorento. It currently shares a parking lot with but more than a second slower than the Pilot. The Mazda did better in other instrumented testing, pulling 0.83 G on the skid pad and stopping from 70 miles per hour in 168 feet, pipping the Honda and the Kia in both metrics. On the road, the Mazda is in another league from that pair, with a tautness to its suspension that allows it to drive smaller than its size. And it might actually have less body roll in corners than a base Miata sports car. The CX-9 feels comparatively low to the ground and has quick, sedan-like steering. Both are long-term Honda and Kia Pack V6 engines under their hoods, while Mazda opts for a turbocharged 2.5-liter 4-cylinder. With 250 horses, it makes less power but lots more torque, 310 lb-ft as low as 2000 rpm. The 6-speed automatic shift programming keeps turbo lag to a minimum and works well enough that we haven't had cause to explore what exactly the sport toggle switch on the center console does. Surely we'll get around to it soon enough, but our initial exposure to the CX-9 has been largely confined to commuting. This has given us ample opportunity to appreciate just how well appointed and refined the interior is. A two-tone black and reddish color combination is called Auburn by the factory, but Merlot might be more appropriate. Rosewood trim is as plentiful as it is pretty, and the stitching on the leather-wrapped steering wheel defines how this trendy decorative element should be done, shaming some luxury marques in the process. Not everything inside the CX-9 is as perfect as the grain of its seat leather. Mazda's 8.0-inch infotainment system, which was state-of-the-art a few years ago, doesn't support Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. The 60/40th split folding second-row bench seat is not as easy to operate as is the one-touch system in the Pilot. And once an adult has clambered into the economy class third row, well, they'll wish they were a child. And if they're actually a child, they'll wish they were an adult so they could tell someone else to ride back there. We certainly don't plan to spend much time as passengers, as the CX-9 promises nothing less than being the driver's alternative to the world of softly suspended transportation appliances. With flesh and blood families of our own, when it comes time to grab keys for the weekend we often have no choice but to pass over favorites like our long-term MX-5 Miata. We look forward to the CX-9 making that choice easier to swallow for many months to come.